to afford my lifestyle, you're gonna have to clock in twice. You gotta come to work, you gotta get up in the morning, work all day, go home, and then you're gonna have to come back, unlock that thing, and you're gonna have to clock in at night. You ain't gonna get what you want out of life by just slinging that 9 to 5. What's up? So we have got some paint on her. Check that out. So it's just some random blue. I think there's like 3 different colors mixed in that color. The color for this actual truck we have in here. So we're not gonna be doing a how-to video on this, but I can tell you that what we're using on this is a Deltron paint. So that paint ended up being $186 a pint. It was pretty ridiculous. So I was not trying to get a bunch of paint, and I'm not trying to put the good paint underneath here. So a little thing that we do that you never ever pay attention to on your vehicle is what color is the bottom side of your hood, what color is the inside of your fenders, and what color is your engine bay. If your vehicle's never been in a wreck, then obviously it's a legit color, but we know that you don't pay attention to that stuff. And so therefore we never normally use expensive paint under the hood area. What I often do is just mix a bunch of random colors together to just kind of get in the ballpark somewhere. You know, it's going to get covered up by a bunch of wiring, and you know, you got the heat insulation that goes underneath the hood and all that. So the shade is going to be a little off, but that's perfectly fine. So we went ahead, since this is a nicer build, and we jammed out our inside. So once we assemble this, we don't have to worry about repainting there. And then we also jammed out the inside of this. Now, normally we bank on you not paying attention when you open your door. A lot of people don't. When you open your door, if you look inside the door, which nobody ever does hardly, you'll be able to see what color inside that fender is. Now, if it's a color that's dark, then normally the buyer does not catch it. But with this being white and the truck being blue, it would have been a pretty sore thumb. My black 450 that I sold for $30,000 cash, when you opened the doors on them and looked in there, they were white because the fenders we originally used were white and not black. So that just shows you sometimes the cash sales you can get without actually having to do all the details. Even though I did not do that on purpose, I just simply didn't want to redo it. So we come in here and did all this. I put some flattening agent in my clear coat to try to knock the gloss down, but I didn't use a lot of it, and I didn't mix anything to the correct ratio. It's actually old and clunking up, so it was actually spitting and sputtering. But we are going to see how it looks, and then we're probably going to put purple after we get all the stuff on it. We're probably going to put purple power all over everything and pressure wash it again to hopefully destroy some of the shine. And if we need to knock down some more shine, we'll take either some t-shirts and scrub it really hard, or if we need to get more aggressive than like a t-shirt, then we'll use a Scotch-Brite pad to knock some of it out. So the original color, I'll get this all untaped, you'll see, but I mean, that's like the original blue versus the blue I just kind of laid. And I just faded it here, so this is a mixture of the old blue and the new blue. But I'm hoping when everything's hung, you know, this will be completely not seen hardly. You'll just be able to see a little bit back in there, and that's pretty much it. If you look down in there, you'll see blue, but because of everything being so covered with wiring and all that kind of stuff, you won't really see it in detail. So I'm hoping that it will look good when everything's together. Let's get this thing untaped, and then we're going to start slowly actually assembling the engine bay area today. Boy, I just checked that Kelly Blue Book value on that truck, and when you check that Blue Book value on this truck, boy, it'll make your butt get up out of bed and come to work and get this thing done. Oh man, them numbers are looking beautiful on what we are in this thing and what this thing is worth. So let me show you where we're at. Whoop! Check this out. All right, so she's starting to look a little different. You can see the blue overspray. I'm gonna pop the hood and show you what we got going on, how everything looked out. But I left earlier today and I was just test fitting everything together. Man, what a freaking difference, y'all. So I told y'all we weren't gonna do a how-to, a step-by-step on this truck, that we would just catch up on the bits and pieces. So that's exactly what we're doing. I do wish now that when I jammed the inside this fender earlier, I would have went ahead and jammed all that. I completely didn't even think about that. I dropped the ball on that. But none of that gets seen And so I'm not really that worried about it. Let's pop the hood real fast and I'll show you how underneath turned out. Bam. Look at that. Look at the bottom side of that hood. Look at that engine bay, man. Now this is not, still not in. I don't have a filter. I got to get a new filter. The other one was completely dirty. But look at the freaking engine bay. So let's zoom back here where we did all of our repairs. Okay. Now you can see that you don't see anything. That's what we were looking for, man. Man, I hope y'all get the gist of, you know, how these things are done and like what you need to do and what you need to be going for. You can see this side's a lot more dirty, but when this gets wet with a little bit of stuff, it'll shine right up. I hate that the inside of this is faded and it's not as clean as like the inside of that. That kind of shows if somebody pays attention. But we're going to tire shine this extreme amount of tire shine under here. And that is going to put some shine back to this old paint and give it some gloss. And it's going to shine up all this dull plastic to help this plastic clash with the gloss paint that we have going on. So that hopefully that doesn't stand out so bad that this side is wore out and this side is like brand new. Now, of course, when we sell this, we disclose that it was an accident. Front end accidents, you know, I'll disclose that we replaced, you know, this whole corner section, basically all the parts and everything. But you still, it's an easier sell. Trust me, I've learned this over the years. And I'm not going to teach y'all all the details. But the way I do it's an easier sell. If you're interested in learning why it's an easier sell, I have also put out the opportunity for you to learn how to flip cars, work with me privately one-on-one, either through Skype or Zoom, and I will cater to your needs. I did a whole video offering them online courses. You need to go back and check out the other videos. But look at just, I mean, the detail up here. I don't do this on all of the stuff, but I mean, the brackets weren't taped. All the hood was done. You know, you can see the decals are still there and they're not bombed over. The latch is not bombed. None of that stuff is bombed. Little bit of overspray around the edge of that decal, but we're talking minute. Cool thing about this also, the headlights, OEM Ford. So no aftermarket junk. We're going to wet sand and re-clear these. I mean, this thing is going to be looking top notch.
Really nice.
Wish we could put a new set of tires on it. Technically, I do have enough in the room, in the money to put tires on it, but I don't want to. We're going to throw these on the back. They're a little bit more wore out. Pull the back ones up front and rock and roll. We're probably going to buff both sides to bring this beautiful blue back. But what we are working on tonight, by the way, we got all of this buttoned up. So this truck is back running. Everything is buttoned up except for this one line right here. You always got that one piece that you just don't 100% finish the job. It's my signature. So I just got disconnected back there. I'm not 100% sure how that disconnects. So when I'm not sure of something, sometimes I move on to something else that I am sure of, and I come back to it. So that's literally my signature, is that I was there. Is normally I leave one or two things incomplete. Brakes need to be bled. Heater hose needs to be swapped out so we can get coolant in the system, burp the system, fill the coolant up, and then she will be checked off up here. Now, don't forget that we do still have the hill descent and the brake issue, lights on the dash, ABS traction control. There is a code for a right rear speed sensor. I changed that out with a parts truck. It didn't go away. So I'm half tempted to buy a new one and see if that fixes the problem, but I'm not sure if it will fix it or not. So we might have another, like a broke wire. It is coming up electrical code. We have to chase that. We still have the shifting issue where it's not shifting. I'm manually shifting it under the steering column. So them issues still have to be addressed. But we are just right now trying to comb through the outside of it, because even with them two issues, we can put it on the road and start driving it and get some mileage on it, you know, and start sorting out any other issues. And we're going to do a couple more cool little touches to this thing too because we're going to try to get really good money for this thing. But what we're doing tonight, let me show you. So we have a couple of dents. Now I have to find them and mark them. I have a couple of little ripples right here. Very minute. I have two little tiny spots right there. I'm gonna have to go through and mark them, and I think I had a little bit bigger one over here. Yeah, right there. I called it with the light just a second ago. So I've got to go through and find my little dings, get them dolphin glazed out, and then we have this big daddy right here. This fender is not on. It's just sitting there. So I need to mount that fender to the bottom so that I can go ahead and get my door edge right. We're going to get our door edge lined up, our door edge right, and we're going to go ahead and bodywork the edge of this door tonight. Now I'm gonna get my door edge right, and I'm probably gonna actually pull my fender off again. I did set my gap up here earlier just to make sure I can get it right, but we're gonna be pulling the emblem off, pull the fender back off probably. That way it's just easier a lot of times to sand and do primer work and everything without the fender in the way. And I don't think the fender needs any body work. Now when I did rip this off earlier, I did bend it down there, but we're just going to bend it back with our hands, and you should never see that in the reflection when everything's done. Besides that, I don't think the fender has any dents or dings that we need to address, so we can literally pull the fender off. Oh, it looks like we have one ding right there that we need to get. So we can pull the fender off and set it to the side for primer and body work so that we don't blow primer all up in the door jamb, so we can back tape that door. So we're going to get a real good job on this one. Over here on this fender, where the hood come up, I think the tow driver did this. Tow truck driver, I think, damaged this. So we're gonna have to body work this little area out, but it's not too bad. So with that said, we're gonna get at this tonight. Start slinging some filler. Get this thing in primer hopefully tonight. Let's roll. Holy crap. Dude, the mud underneath this thing is crazy. I don't know if they wrecked it in a ditch or if they were just hunting with it or what, but the only way to get that mud out from underneath it, some people will say put a sprinkler under there. That will take forever. Is to get your butt down there on the ground, lay on a creeper, like a mechanic creeper, and pressure wash it, and just take it to the face. Man, all the dirt, all the water. That's the only way to get that mud out from underneath them trucks, normally like that. And you still, it's not gonna be perfect. Wish we had an outside lift. It'd be amazing, but at least we're gonna get the bulk of it out. It is crazy the amount that has come out from underneath this truck. I mean, I have been working on this thing all morning long. I figured that, you know, before paint, might as well go ahead and try to get it at least washed up a little bit in here. That way when it comes out of paint, hopefully we could do some buffing on these scratches, fix some stuff like this, hopefully, or improve it. And then we'll be good to go. So I'm about to back this thing in the booth. I'm not done under the truck on this side, but I think I'm tapped out on this morning. That's probably gonna be after paint. But I need to get this mud flushed out of this freaking bay. And then when you accidentally blast it all over your cabinets, all over your drills, all over everything, oh man, this stuff makes a mess, but it beats laying out there in the rocks. I about need a freaking shovel to push this stuff out. God, dude, there's so much. Man, when I was young, I used to go do this dumb crap, riding around in the woods, all this dirt underneath my truck. Man, I don't miss this stuff. We'll get this crap cleaned out of here. We'll probably come in on maybe Monday or Wednesday after Christmas and get this thing sprayed out. Everything turned out good. Got all this blocked out where it's ready to go. Pulled our seal up here. Just make things a little easy, not completely breaking it down. It's not like it's some big high-end customer job. You know, just trying to go a little bit extra than we do on normal flips. But I think she's coming along quite nicely. Man, that mud is gonna be a nightmare on the driver's side finishing, getting it out. Fixed our little imperfection up here. But besides that, we're good to go. So that'll be next week. All right, so we got our truck put through primer, or not primer, we got our truck put through paint. So of course I ran it. This clear coat I've been using, I got some runs right there. I just cannot spray this stuff wet to save my freaking life. It's not high-end clear. It's a little more mid-grade clear. So it's not as good as, you know, the higher end stuff. You can see a run right there. But anyway, so we'll wet sand and buff that out. We got a buff on the truck anyway, where there are scratches down the side of the truck. So ran it through paint. We are about to work on these pieces, getting these pieces painted. Now these are textured off of an XL. They're going on XLT, so we are going to paint them. That way the truck does not look like a lower end package. And I'm going to show you in a separate video on how to paint these plastics. So make sure you watch that if you're curious of how you paint plastics. So we're doing some buffing on the truck. Check that out. Even got the compressor to match the truck. So if you want to buy the truck and a matching compressor, let me know. Compressor actually came with some tire machines that we bought. Got the truck out of paint. So I painted a Cadillac earlier and worked on that some today. Put airbags in today in a Tahoe. And now I'm just back buffing on this, finishing out my afternoon. So look how good that thing looks sitting there. The other side, I've got all wet sanded. I'm actually about to move over here to this other side with cut compound. and you can see it's all wet sanded out, the door and that. So that clear that we used, it didn't lay out that great at all. It's cold here too, so it's a combination of the booth is sucking cold air in from the outside, even though I do run a heater to suck warm air into the booth. But it's just a combination of a little bit of everything. Lower quality clear, you know, cold air, everything just really does not turn out for the best, slickest job. So I wasn't 100% happy with this. Like I said, I'm gonna try to ask a fair penny for this truck and not give this one away. So I wanted to make sure that this is a good 8 out of 10, you know, job on it. So this truck, I'm gonna flip the camera around and I'll kind of show you. So this truck has all kinds of these scratches all over it. So you can see these scratches right here. Somebody definitely had took this thing in the woods. That right there we're not gonna be able to do nothing with. We'll probably be able to hide a lot of this, but that white right there you're not gonna be able to do nothing with. We could dab some blue paint on it, but I don't know if that's gonna make it worse. We might try to get some of this red out with paint thinner, but basically that's what this truck has all over it, is these kind of scratches. And a lot of it on the other side is actually coming out pretty good. It's masking it with wax where you don't really see it unless you're right up on it. You know, so it's working out good on that side. You can see in here, well, before I got rid of all the dust, you can see we've left some orange peel behind, so we're not trying to get a 10 out of 10 job. You can see right here the orange peel level, so it definitely was not something over the top, but once this thing's buffed out, this thing will look gorgeous. Your vehicle from the factory has some orange peel in it anyway, so when you're doing a daily driver like this, you don't ever really need to get rid of all the orange peel. You just want to knock it down so that most of the flats have a nice gloss to it. Now the hood, this is about what you were looking at quality-wise. Let me see if I can get it to pick up right there. So it's almost got like a fuzzy finish to it. It just needs to be knocked down real fast. A lot of this is dust settling on it, but it just needs to be knocked down real fast with like a 2500 or a 1500. I knocked it down with a 1500 over here, and then buff it. But the hood is so big, I don't think we're going to buff the hood. I'm definitely not going to buff the hood right now. Maybe if I put it together, pull it outside, and it doesn't look good, then I'll buff it. But often when you're inside the shop or inside like this, it brings out flaws and imperfections that you never will see outside under normal circumstances. This side's buffed all out, so we actually put some runs, like I said in the clip before this, in the fender. So we got all that, you know, all that buffed out. So here's what you're left with afterwards. So you can see that's pretty freaking good. You know, if you're looking all down here and everything, good reflection in that after it's buffed. Now we still got some spots like right in here, but there's no reason to really harp on that because, like I said, this truck has surface scratches all in it already from, you know, just the previous owner. When you open the door up, here's kind of a telltale sign. So that is not wax, y'all. That is mud. That is mud all inside the door jambs. That is mud. You've seen how much mud we pulled out from underneath this thing. So this thing was definitely drove in the woods, but it still has really low miles and it cleans up really good. So we had some really aggressive scratches here, and they mostly all got gone except for that little piece right there. I wish I would have videotaped it before I buffed it, honestly. But I didn't. So I used a little cut compound and then, you know, above a wool pad and then followed by some wax on a foam pad. So you can see right there some more. But these things were really bad before I started. And there's one up there that's not picking up on the camera. It's not wanting to really pick up. Good, there it is. So, you know, it's just got its little scratches all over it. But for, I think this thing is a 13 or 14 with 82,000 miles on it, I think. So this thing's going to make somebody a good truck. One unique thing is if you look at the difference in that fender to that door, the color match. But now if we back up for a second, rewind, and look at the clip before this, when I was walking this in the booth, you'll notice that from here to here, there was no color added. Got some runs right there. I just cannot spray this stuff wet to save my freaking life. We did a little bit of color up here and some oversprayed onto here, but from about this badge down, it was yellow tape. No blue tape was on, no blue paint was on that at all, and that was after we clear coated. So we actually didn't put no color here at all. So these are the same exact color. Up to maybe right in here is going to be dusted out and some of the new blue, but definitely 100% from here to here is the exact same color. And you can see how the color looks completely different under some circumstances. Now, we went over this on the channel, what causes that. Basically, all of this paint is wore out, and that's got brand new clear on it. So it changed like the depth perception of the color and everything, and that's what changes it. Even though these are the exact same factory OEM color, that just has new clear over it. This is buffed with the original clear. So that's, you know, that happens sometimes. Even when you're blending, we blended the hood into the top of the fender and then fixed that little area up there, but we did not color that. And so that's just going to be one of them things where, sadly, that's just how it is. I mean, you don't want to chase your tail. If you were to re-clear this door is now not going to match that door. Just clearing it, no color at all, just because that's just how this color is kind of flopping, and it's going to look worse than just having this fender here, you know, versus a whole entire square door, you know, right down the center of the truck. So it's just what we're going to have to live with. You know, you've seen for yourself in the clip before this that there was no color put there, but that's just how it rolls. So I'm really digging this thing, man. I think this thing is turning out freaking amazing. We have to get inside here and clean the interior and finish addressing our issues over here with our shifter and everything else, and to get this thing wrapped up. So I figured I'd catch y'all up real fast on this one. I'm gonna move on to buffing on the other side, and we're going to get the other pieces painted, I think, tonight, and keep rolling. So last night we actually got our grill painted, got it done, threw it on truck this morning, and then we got our bumper cap painted also. We just haven't had time to get it on truck. So I actually did a video on how to paint this. If you're looking to paint, you know, like an XL bumper cap or just texture plastic, even on Chevy Z71, sometimes people do the fender flares and they need to know how to paint this. So go check out the video on how to paint texture plastic if you're curious about that. But of course, this series is not an in-depth how-to. This is just going over the progress of the truck. So let me flip the camera around and show you how the whole truck overall is turning out so far up to this point. So we got chunked the grill on, got the fender wet sanded and buffed out, so you can see a whole lot better reflection in that than anywhere else you can see down it. So she looks good. That's that cheap Norbin clear with a wet sand and buff over it. You can also see a slight difference in the front door to the back door. Again, there was no, if you look back, there was no color added here at all. This was literally just clear. So that's what happens with this blue, is when you freshen it up, does that. But the way it flops, you know, like this angle, then it goes back where it's not that bad. So that one's not actually as bad as that fender looks. The fender looks a lot worse for some reason, but both of them didn't have any color put on them. So she's cleaning up nicely. The bed scratches that we had on this side, you can still see the white, the red in them, but as you can see, they cleaned up really, really good. So there was a ton of them. If you remember a second ago, there was a ton of them all in it, and they cleaned up really well. So this truck definitely seen a rough life. From everything we can tell, it was definitely in the woods a ton, but she's cleaning up. So the next steps are going to be, we're going to get this front end put together. We still have our issue with the ABS wire. We still have our issue with the ABS light and a traction control light. Also, we have no brake lights. So we've come through and we have did some troubleshooting to eliminate like the brake switch and some other odds and ends, but I think this one's over our head. We're probably going to have to send this out to the guy that does a lot of our mechanic work, or things that are over our head that we don't do here. The ABS light. What else do we got? The shifter. Basically, it's not registering brakes. There's no brake lights on the back of the vehicle. So the truck is like not registering that you're pushing the brake pedal down and that the brakes are actually engaged. So it's a combination of that. And I think it's either probably going to be a wire brake, obviously not in the wire harness we replaced. I think it's going to be something further back, or it's going to be another issue. But that's for him to figure out, not me. So the next video y'all see will be the truck completely together, detailed outside. We'll do a walk around. We'll go over what we ended up having to do to fix the last couple of issues, and we will also maybe go over what we ended up in at total and what the Kelley Blue Book value is on it. So make sure you turn on that notification button, make sure you smash the bell, and make sure you stick around to see the last video of this series. Thanks, y'all.